Hello friends, happy Thursday. Welcome to this week's card class. Today we are going to be making 3 beautiful cards with the Scenic Adventures Bundle. This is one of our online exclusive products and I fell in love with it because I love the mountains. And there are lots of really pretty dies, especially in this set, plus some fun sentiment. So I will show that to you here in a minute. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Rachel Trout. I have been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for over 12 years, and every Thursday I bring you a card class that you can watch, and hopefully it inspires you to get out some of your craft supplies and create something this week. You can watch for free. I give all the measurements for my cards and let you know what products that I used. But if you would like a card kit for this week's cards, you can shop with me now through Tuesday. And if your order is more than $50 before tax and shipping and after Stampin' Rewards, then I will send you a card kit for the 3 cards that we are making today. And actually today's card kit is a really good one if you want to try out one of my card kits. The stamping today is mostly sentiments. There is one like cloud stamp, but you could leave that off. The rest of it will be done for you, and you will get the card kit. And then you use your own ink and your own embellishments and ribbon, and I'll show you what I'm using in case you want to add them to your order. I'm using some last chance products today, so they're on sale, which is always a bonus. Excuse me. Also, I would love to know if you are watching and what you think of today's cards. I draw 3 random winners from the comments every week to send the cards that I make to. So I'm going to make 3 cards today. I would love to send them out to some of you who are watching. So please comment and let me know you are here. A few reminders before we start. We have our Sweet Collection sale going on. None of the products I'm using today are part of that sale. But any products that are part of a Sweet Collection or the entire Sweet Collection, they're all buy one, get one 50% off. And we talked a little bit last week about how to maximize this sale. If you are buying entire Sweet Collections, you would want to purchase those on a separate order because your lowest price items are going to be the 50% off ones. So buy, say, 2 or 4 Sweet Collections and get 2 of them or 1 of them half off. And then add your designer series paper, your ribbon, your embellishments, the smaller things to a separate order, because otherwise those are going to be the half off items. So that is my little tip for shopping that sale. I think that is all. Let's flip the camera down and I will show you the products we are using today. Oh, it always does this to me. It says I have a slow connection right when I'm about to flip it, and it covers my button. There we go. All right, so let's get the camera situated back in my holder here. And today we are going to be using the Scenic Adventure Bundle. Sorry, hopefully it'll stop shaking here in a second. Okay, the Scenic Adventure Bundle, like I said, is one of our online exclusive products. So you haven't seen this in a catalog, but it is in my online store, and I think they are coming out with so many neat products, and hopefully you aren't missing them if you are just looking at the catalog, because we have quite a few products now that are only online. So make sure you check out the online store in the shopping link. It's in the description of the video, and there's a whole section of online exclusive products, and they are amazing. So this is a stamp and die bundle. And check out these dies. You can do a lot of scene building with these. We're using a good number of them on our cards today so you can see what they look like. I am not real big into scene building sets usually because I have a hard time picturing how things go together. I need to look at samples. So that is what I did for today's cards. They're my own creations, but they're kind of based off of something that I saw, because it's a lot easier for me to build the scenes when I've seen somebody else do it. So I hope you can use today's cards as inspiration, and you can build your own scenes, because once you start playing, it's a lot easier. We are also using today the Weekend Adventures Designer Series paper. You might have missed this. This is in our annual catalog, but this is in our scrapbooking section. So there's a scrapbooking workshop kit that coordinates, that has this paper in it. but you can buy the package separately by itself. Now, it's a little bit different than our regular Designer Series paper packages in that it has 3 patterns and there are 4 sheets of each. So usually there's 6 patterns, 2 sheets of each. So it's a little bit different that way. You get more of each one. But if you are the outdoorsy, hiking, camping type of person, you are going to love this paper. I'm actually going to use this paper for my Christmas card club next month because, like, this is a perfect pattern for Christmas, I think. We've got little acorns on the back, so that will be great come fall. I think this one will be good for Christmas too, the buffalo check. And then a black and white stripe, so classic. So this pack includes 4 each of those sheets, and it is called the Weekend Adventures Designer Series paper. If you are looking for the product numbers and the names of the things I'm using today, check out the description of the video because I have them listed there as suggested things you might want to order. So if you see something you like, you will be able to find it there. Okay, these are the embellishments we're using today. These are faux glass dots. Yep, I'm double checking, make sure I got it right. Faux glass dots. These are last chance right now, so they are on sale for $6.80 instead of, I think they were $8 regular price. So a little discount on those. And then I am also using linen thread. This is a staple. I need to buy some more, obviously. I found some extra from an old paper pumpkin kit, I think, in case I run out on my spool here. But most of you probably already have this in your craft room. So that is what we are using today. Let's get to crafting. All right. I don't know if the first or second card is my favorite today. So you guys are going to have to let me know what you think. This is our first card, and so we are going to do a little bit of scene building. This reminds me a little bit, these dies, of our recent paper pumpkin kit, the Mountain Majesties, and I feel like we've had another one in the past that was kind of like that too, where it had the different layers, and I used a couple layers of dimensionals on this card because I think it's fun to add dimension. But if you don't want your card to be quite that bulky, you don't have to add quite as many as I did. All right, if you order this week and get the card kit, this is exactly what you'll get. It'll be in an envelope with everything die cut and ready for you. You just have to stamp and assemble. So super easy, and you can get some cute cards, and you can check out these dies close up if you want before you buy them. All right, this card has an early espresso card base, 5.5 by 8.5. We'll fold that in half. And then a piece of our Weekend Adventures Designer Series paper that is 5.25 by 4. Now this one is directional. It has the little compasses on it. So you want to make sure that the north is pointing up. I mean, I suppose you could put it upside down, but then your cups would be upside down. Doesn't really matter which way the footsteps are going, I suppose, but you don't want your cups upside down. So make sure your north is pointing towards the top. All right, then we have a piece of basic beige here, and this is 3.25 by 4.5. And then I've already die cut these, and I kind of wanted to show you how this works. So what I did for the trees, this is this die right here. The trees is a piece of old olive that is 1.5 by 4.5. So my piece of basic beige is 4.5. So I wanted my trees to be the same length, and it will cut on the top, but not on the bottom. So I lined it up with my cardstock, and you know, I had a little bit of extra up here. So this kind of goes across the middle of your cardstock, and you run it through, and it'll cut the top off and leave you with this piece. And so that's why I cut it to that 4.5 size, so it would match up with my edges here. And then kind of the same thing with the mountain. So this is pecan pie, and I cut that 2.5 by 4.5. See if I can get this off to show you. So again, you know, picture there was pecan pie up here, and this cuts the top, but not the bottom, and it adds that fun texture in there. And then for my little mountain, I wanted to show you this because I wanted to make sure it was wide enough to have a, you know, the base to fit behind and my other mountain. So this is Early Espresso. I cut it 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. And for this one, it didn't quite reach all the way to the edge. I really wanted to get that full die in there. So we're just going to trim it off so that we have the top off. And I just wanted to show you that because you have a little bit of wiggle room with these dies as far as how you use them and how, I mean, you could make it go even longer and just trim it right there too. Okay, so now we're going to kind of arrange everything on our card. So this pecan pie is going to line up with the bottom edge here, and I'm going to add that with dimensionals. And this Early Espresso mountain is going to get tucked behind. So I'm mostly going to just put my dimensionals on the bottom. And let's see, I have it over here, so we can put one there and be safe still. All right, so I'm lining up my bottom edge here and my sides. All right, this is going to get tucked behind and be flat, and it's going to line up on this edge. So that one, I'm just going to use a little bit of my Stampin' Seal. And we'll tuck him behind, line up the edge again, like that. And then our old olive trees, now these are, it's not quite as wide on the bottom, so I'm going to grab some mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and that way I'll make sure that I don't see any peeking out from behind the trees. All right, these are a little futzier to get the backs off of, but it is nice to have the smaller size. I don't actually use my mini ones that often, but for this, they were perfect. I don't know, let me know in the comments, do you use mini dimensionals at all? Sometimes I will just cut off the edges of my big ones. I mean, I use the edges anyways, but do you use our mini dimensionals often? All right, so we'll add that. So like I said, it has some dimension, which I think is kind of cool. All right, but then we're going to layer it to our card flat because I don't think we need any more dimension. All right, just like that. And then I've punched a label with our, I think this is called Labeled with Love Punch. I will put it in the description of the video because this is a good one. So the punch is current and it costs $25. But there is a set of dies. So this was part of a bundle and you could choose either the punch or the dies. The dies has three dies exactly the same, so you can cut out 3 at a time. And the dies are on sale for $11.50 because they're last chance. So you might consider that if you like this shape and you want to try those out. It's cheaper than the punch right now. Although I chose the punch when it was brand new because I think punching is faster. But you can do more things with the dies too, you know, like cut out the shape in the middle of a piece of cardstock or something. So if there are more options with that. All right, we're using Early Espresso ink. And I think we all need this reminder every now and then. Just breathe and take it slow. I know I need that reminder. Just breathe, especially that part. I do not like to take it slow, but that is good advice. Slow down a little bit sometimes. I always have a lot on my to-do list and I like to be going all the time. But it's good to slow down every once in a while. So maybe I need to put this card up where I can see it and remind myself. All right, we are going to add this with dimensionals because it is going on its own layer right here. And you can tuck it behind the mountain just a little bit. And then we're going to tie a bow with our linen thread. And we will add this to our card with a glue dot. just going to put it right here kind of on the corner of the sentiment and the mountain. Like that. And then we're going to grab some of our faux glass dots. And I'm going to grab some of these. I think they are Old Olive. If not, they're Mossy Meadow. One of those two greens, but they go well with our card. I'll just put a few in the sky here. One over there. And there we go. There is our first card. So I am going to tuck that one in an envelope. Remember to give to someone who is commenting. So there is our first card. All right, are you ready for the second one? This one is good too. Check this one out. For this one, I used our Impressions of Bloom dies, that kind of square oval. And we did some more layering with the seams. So let me show you how this one goes together. I think I've got all my pieces there. All right, for this one, I have got a Cajun Craze card base. I don't know about you, but I pull out Cajun Craze during fall and not many other times. So it's summertime and I'm using Cajun Craze, which is kind of crazy. This is a regular size card base, 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half. And then we have a piece of that Weekend Adventures Designer Series paper that is 3 3/4 by 5. And we are going to layer that on a piece of basic black that is just 1/8 of an inch larger, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And layer that to your card base. And this one we're going pretty flat because we have quite a few layers on here. Oops, I almost went crooked on that one. There we go. Okay, so I've cut out our square oval with the Impressions of Bloom dies, and we are going to stamp our clouds at the top in Misty Moonlight ink. So like I said, if you just want to get the card kit and try this out and use other sentiments that you already have, you can for sure do that, and you can skip the clouds or find clouds in another stamp set. Or if you want, you can order the Scenic Adventures Bundle and you can use that. So there are our clouds, and while I have that out, I am going to stamp my, oh, I don't know if I cut a piece for my sentiment. Unless it's hiding in here. I did not. Let me grab a piece of white because you know, as crafters, we all have plenty of white cardstock. And I will see if I can cut it. It is supposed to be cut to, let's see, did I even write that down? Of course I didn't. That's what happens when you're working fast. All right, maybe we will stamp and then cut. So this is actually 2 stamps. Cheers to Another and Adventure. I'm going to stamp the Adventure first. And you know what? I'm going to do it. We'll at least get one straight edge here. We'll see how straight I can cut today. Can't believe I forgot to cut that piece, but I didn't write it down either, so. Cheers to Another Adventure. There we go. I believe it is 1 inch by, let's see. This is what happens when we use our glass mat. We can measure. 1, 2, 3, or maybe it's 2 3/4. I don't remember. We're going to do our best to cut straight here. And I will measure it, and I will put the measurements. I will give you the measurement in the description if I remember. You know what that is. I probably won't remember. But if you get the card kit, and you will get a tutorial that has it in there. All right, that's not too bad. All right, you know what? I can measure this. It's about the same. Okay, we'll check for sure. It's easier to do it when it's not on a card. 1, 2, 2 3/4. Okay, 1 by 2 3/4 is what we have there. All right, cheers to another adventure in card making, apparently. Okay, so these pieces we're kind of layering the same way that we did on the first card. This one is an interesting die because it doesn't actually cut anything out. It's just cutting those lines to create the texture. So I cut this piece of balmy blue to 1 inch by 3 1/4 inches. And 3 1/4 is the widest part of this. It's a little wider than the widest part of that circle. So this is going to go along the bottom. Then we're going to tuck the trees behind. This is Old Olive again. And this piece is 1 1/2 by 3 1/4. And then I have Misty Moonlight for my big mountain. And my Misty Moonlight piece is 2 1/2 by 3 1/4. So I think I'm going to start with the mountain. I kind of laid all of these pieces on flat. So you have to start with the one in the back first because the other ones will get layered on top and you don't have any dimension to tuck the pieces behind. And like these, I just did stamp and seal. I didn't really care too much if these trees were laid down with glue, but you could use liquid glue if you want. And then I think I'm just gonna do this so I don't go off the edge too much. Oh, you know what I did with this? I almost forgot this part. So I wanted it, since it doesn't cut at the top, I just did a little bit of fussy cutting around these lines at the top. So it was kind of more like the water, not a straight line. But you could leave it a straight line too if you wanted to. All right, good thing I remembered that before we attached it here. All right, and then we turn this over and we're just going to trim the edges to the edge of that die cut. I saw this, another card like this. I don't know if it was probably just while I was scrolling Facebook, and I thought it looked really cool in this die from the Impressions of Bloom set, and so I had to try it. I think I used different colors, I had different paper and stuff, but the idea, and I don't even remember who I got this from, but I thought it was very cool. So if that person happens to be watching my video, thank you for your wonderful idea, because I thought it looked great. Okay, and I almost cut my mountain off there, but I did, okay. It'll stay. All right, we are going to attach this piece with dimensionals. So let's do that. All right, center that on our card. Doesn't that look cool with the buffalo check behind it? I just love that. All right, we've got our stamped piece here, and I'm going to tie a loopy bow with our linen thread to go behind our sentiment. So you want this one to be a little bit larger so that it will peek out from behind that sentiment. And I still like to lay this down with a glue dot just to kind of hold it in place, and then we'll put the sentiment over the top. So you can kind of arrange that over here. I didn't make my first one that big, so hopefully this one will stick out a little bit more. And let's see, so I did dimensionals on my sample card, but then I realized this part is already popped up with dimensionals, so, but we kind of need the dimensionals to go over that knot of the linen thread, so I guess we're going to do it anyways. So it was a little uneven, but I think it's okay. If you care a lot, you could add 2 dimensionals to this side to make it the same, like, layer, I guess, but I think it'll be fine. All right, I might have to trim these a little bit. They're kind of going all over the place. There's that one. Okay. All right, and then I thought we would finish off, I think these are Cajun Craze, which is the color of our card base, and it's in that buffalo check, so we will use a couple of those if I can get them here on our card. I bought a refill for my Take Your Pick tool quite a while ago, and I need to find what I did with it because I need to switch out this part. Oops. Okay, there is our second card. What do you think of that one? I don't know, this one or the first one. I cannot decide which of those two is my favorite, but maybe you will like the third one better. So let's take a peek at that one and we'll see what you think of this one. All right, here is our third one. I had to use some of the other dies, and I thought we would use a little pop of purple with that petunia pop there. So for our third card, we have a Mossy Meadow card base, 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half again. And then another piece of the Weekend Adventures Designer Series paper. This one is 3.5 by 4 3/4. And we are just going to lay that down flat with our Stampin' Seal Plus onto our card base. Then I have a basic white rectangle that I have cut with our Textured Notes dies. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment in Old Olive ink. If you wanted, you could also use Mossy Meadow here to match your card base. And this should fit right across this die. And I'm going to do it across the top so we can add our dies on the bottom. That was not super great stamping. I should have added more ink. Oh well. Okay. Now for this one, the flowers are it's a little bit shorter die, so you could go multiple times and go across a longer line. This one is kind of like the grass. So for this one, I did Old Olive, and it's 1 by 3 3/4 because that's a little bit longer than my rectangle. Let's see where I set my scissors. Here we go. But that was about as long as the die was, so I have to cut this one off too, to just trim the edges. And then for the petunia pop, I did 3/4 by 1 3/4. Now, I don't know. I thought it looked funny to have, you know, a random line of purple there and then another random line of purple or just one. So that is why I decided to tuck the flowers behind. But I also think you could make a longer line of the flowers and it would work. All right, so I think, let's see, maybe on this one, I don't want this sticking off on this side because it's cut off right there. So I am just going to snip that one. And I think what I did was I put some glue along the bottom here. Or maybe I did it along here. That is probably what I did. I literally just made this card like 20 minutes ago. So I don't know why I don't remember. And I don't have a lot of glue left. So I might have to use my Stampin' Seal. All right. Couldn't find my full glue. We will just do a little bit of Stampin' Seal here. I just want to make sure I can still tuck my flowers behind, but it's easier to kind of position this first. And so you have this taller bush and it kind of fits right in between your Z and your G there. So that is how I positioned it. And then this one where I trimmed off the cut off one here, we are going to kind of tuck him. Let's see how I did this. I think I put it at a little bit of an angle. Kind of tucked that back there. Something like that. Okay. And then this one I did line up with the edge here. And I then used my liquid glue to just put little dots behind those flowers. I don't know if I'm going to get my liquid glue to work well enough to do that because it is almost empty. I could not find my fuller one. I really need to clean off the counter that I usually work on. It's so messy right now. That is my goal for the next week or so. Okay, maybe, I don't know if I should put some glue dots behind there to hold it because I don't think I'm going to get too much glue out. So I'm going to use the take your pick tool to just kind of get it behind that flower so we don't see it, and maybe we'll do one of these over here too. I used to dislike the green glue so much that I tried to cut glue dots in half and use them, and now I will use the green glue. And I don't hate it quite that much, but I used to hate it that much. I would cut glue dots in half to try and use them instead. This time it's more, I can't get the glue out, but okay, there we go. Good enough. All right, now before we add this to our card, I think, well, we'll see if I have enough linen thread left here. Otherwise I will use, I don't know if I do have enough. I wrapped this around twice and tied in a bow, and nope, that's not going to be enough. So that's why I brought this one in. I think this is from a past paper pumpkin kit, but it is linen thread. And I need to go add some more linen thread to my shopping cart. Do you do that when you're shopping? I will just go to my Stampin' Up account, and if I run out of a color of cardstock, or I discover my Stampin' Blends are not working anymore, I just go to my shopping cart and add it in, and then the next time I am ready to place an order, I don't forget all of the things that I actually need versus what. Because I don't know about you, but I see new pretty things and I have to have them, and then I forget, oh yeah, I needed some more linen thread. Oh, I need some adhesive to put my cards together. So I try and go add those things in as I think of them or as I come across something I need so that I don't forget. Okay, we are going to add this to our card with some dimensionals. Let's find back where I put them, right in front of me, of course. And I'm getting to the edge, so I usually will just cut all the way around and use those edges too. I hope you are all doing that and not throwing this part away. I mean, I would probably cry if you told me you threw this part away because, well, I for one go through so many dimensionals that I am sure I've saved myself loads of money by using the edges. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. Okay, let's take those backs off. Add this to our card. And then we're just going to do a few of the small old olive dots right here in the corner. All right, there is our last card. So let's put that one into an envelope also. And let me bring all three back in so you can see them. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite today. And don't forget that if you would like the card kit, shop now through Tuesday and spend more than $50 before tax and shipping and after Stampin' Rewards, and I will send you the card kit. There is a shopping link in the description along with a list of the products that we used today so that you can have quick and easy shopping. Please let me know if you have questions or need help, and thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you will come back again next week for some more card making fun. Bye.